Hawaiian Islands, the Orient, contact time for everyone, 26.25.
And Chalk 6 is taking fire. Okay, divert south of the river. Divert. I see you come to the red guys. I just called them. You said damn well.
Since the dawn of the first age, by the elders it was foretold, a mighty cure that would rise when needed most. Their words would inspire enlightenment among the common. As it was prophesied, it has come to pass. Everybody has a podcast.
So kind of what's been on my mind lately, Ryan, thanks for asking, I've got a friend of mine, and he's a super intelligent guy. I respect his judgment and point of view on things. Like, he's very intellectually sound. Well, the other day, he and I were just talking, and we were talking about evolution. I think I had made a Darwinism joke or natural selection joke when somebody had done something very stupid, and we started talking about the genesis of humans, right?
Right.
And how, depending on where you live on Earth, you have a different view on how that all started. Either Judeo-Christian or Hindu or Buddhist or Islam or Wiccan, what have you. Well, he brings up the Sumerians, right? And I've studied the Sumerians, and I've know a lot about their culture. For the people that don't know about the Sumerians, they were the first persons that actually recorded written history.
And they're about 3,000 years old, I think, right?
Well, they're actually they were about 2,000 years before the Egyptians, so a little bit older than that, about 4,500 BC is what we're talking about.
Okay.
But they wrote in clay and cuneiform, and that's why it survived, because papyrus breaks down. But these were actually made in baked clay. But anyway, they tell a story about the genesis of humanity, and so I started reading up on it. Right, and I knew the Sumerians, knew all about them. I never really delved into what was on these tablets. Well, they talk about a story of Genesis, and basically what their theory is like an ancient alien theory, is what is actually written for them. It talks about the Anunnaki, which translates like those who came from the heavens down, came down, and they came to Earth to mine gold because they needed gold to repair their atmosphere. While mining gold in Earth, they realized it was really fucking hard work, and they didn't want to do it themselves. So they engineered humanity out of a Homo erectus, which is like a prehistoric human. They spliced their DNA with ours and basically created humanity. Well, the interesting part is if you read the cuneiform tablets, one of the spots of the laboratory for the Anunnaki was called Eden, which could be Eden in the Bible.
Right.
They called the first the first human male Adama, and this is way before the Bible. Like, this is way predates the Bible. And obviously, I grew up a Christian, so I'm not, I'm not saying Bible shit. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying. Right. But I got to digging, right, and I started thinking about it. So, well, this Anunnaki thing, if you read up about it, there's an author named Jim Mars that's really good. There's a Zachariah Sitchin. Both these guys did a lot of research on it. And there's this whole New World Order conspiracy. Like, the rabbit hole gets really deep, right? And I won't get into it because it takes entirely too long to talk about. But I encourage anyone listening, if this topic interests you, just to type in Anunnaki into YouTube, ANN Aki, whatever.
ANN Naki.
But you'll have like days worth of really compelling videos, right, and storyline. So my question is to you, gents, and I know my friend Clark here is going to jump all over this. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? Because this one, like, I downloaded a book and read an entire book in 2 days on this subject.
Jesus.
Yeah, because I couldn't put it down because it was based in history. It talked about the pyramids. I mean, the whole scheme of things. I mean, if you watch Ancient Aliens, you can get all that. But it literally invigorated me. I want to learn more about this, right? So, what is some conspiracy theories? Ryan, I'll let you start because I know Clark's ready to fire.
This is going to be the first 8-hour podcast we've ever had with Clark on this subject. So, Billy, I've read a lot about this subject too, and you're right; it's highly fascinating. A couple things that I like about this is I've actually always wondered this when I was younger. The question I always had was, okay, so gold is the most valuable metal we have on the planet. Why? Like, why? We know now that gold is a awesome conductor of electricity, okay?
Sure.
But we didn't know that for the, thousands and thousands of years where gold has always been valued. And that's one of the theories of this, is because we were genetically bred, or basically we had been mining this gold. The reason they did the gold was because they had fucked up their atmosphere. And
I'm not sure how gold relates to an atmosphere.
Well, I'm going to explain it to you.
Sorry, yeah, Ryan, you can tell him.
Yeah, so supposedly this alien race, kind of like we're doing, they fucked up their atmosphere. And the way that they reflected the light or something like that, it was they would sprinkle gold in the atmosphere.
Which is the scientific theory on that is correct. If you pulverize gold, and actually can inject it into an atmosphere, it'll reflect UV rays and solar rays and basically act like a patch on an ozone.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of, I had this question long before I even read about this. Like, okay, gold. Why is gold? It's because there's fucking shit tons of whatever. We could put value on anything we want.
And it's pretty much universal. Like gold was accepted as the currency in like China, North America, like everywhere.
Right.
It was gold.
Right. So anyways, that kind of answers that question.
Our entire monetary system to this day is built on the gold standard. Like, to this day, we trade bills back and forth, but those are supposed to be basically Federal Reserve notes that reflect worth in gold. If you look at it, gold transcends everything in humanity. If you win in the Olympics, what do you get?
Gold medal.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're an arch villain on the third Austin Powers, who are you? Or second Austin Powers, who are you?
I love gold.
Gold! I'm from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Okay, but here's my second question. And it's weird for me to like try to debunk a conspiracy theory because usually I don't need any proof. But here's my biggest hang up with this whole thing. If you can traverse space, possibly time or dimensions, why do you need to create a race of species or whatever, people, to do your mining for you? Why don't you just have like fucking nano machines that surround the Earth and instantly pull that shit out?
Yeah,
like you're dealing with some high level tech. Do you really need to go into gene splicing and then wait a few million years?
Well, and I think, Clark, if you look at humanity now, we do it now. We do genetic testing. I don't think I think basically they increased the breed. So they came to a planet that had an ape species, like an ape hybrid, like we were Homo erectus. They injected their DNA, which counts for why we can't find a missing link. Because humanity evolved hundreds of thousands of years in a matter of in the grand scale of things, very small amount of time. We came bipedal. We started using tools. We formed civilization.
Started masturbating.
Language, the spot in the brain that does language. So there isn't, and I'm not, this is just the theory, but there is a large, unaccounted for, huge leap in evolution, from here. And these are before the Egyptians. And the most interesting thing about the Anunnaki is on these cuneiform tablets, they found 9 planets on a solar system. Okay? 9 planets, right? This is before it had Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto on there, right? Neptune was not discovered till 1781.
Okay.
By modern science.
Right.
But there's evidence
on
these.
there.
So they knew, right? They had either one or two things. Either our ancient humans were way smarter than we are today, or they had some kind of knowledge that we've lost, like some kind of knowledge that they had. I'm not saying an alien gave it to them, but if we're talking about this theory, that these people that ascended from the heavens gave to them. Like there's a Piri Reis map that shows, it's a map from the 1500s that shows Antarctica without ice.
Weird.
Yeah, so there's a lot of our kind of our hidden history that I don't think everything we've been taught in the textbooks is right. I'm not saying that Alf came down from space and taught us everything, right. But I feel like the stories of Atlantis and the stories of like superhumans and the Nephilim, the tall humans. I believe there could be some truth behind that now because for the longest time people thought, well, you can't genetically alter things, right? This is before we started cloning sheep. This is before we knew the double helix in the DNA, right? So it's very interesting.
Yeah. To answer your question directly, Billy, really, it's just going to be a continuation on what you're saying. And I don't subscribe. Okay, so check it out. Lots of types of conspiracy theories, right? So a lot of these are, what did man create? And those are interesting, but let's be real here. The galaxy is 14.6 billion years old. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old. We've been around a couple thousand years, in our current form. You know, so I think a lot of the man-made, the societal conspiracy theories, they're super interesting, but honestly, I don't give a fuck about those for the most part because there are bigger questions. And yes, I think extraterrestrials, for me, are definitely the top one. I love reading about it, watching documentaries. So check this out. Once again, here's the math. I get so pissed off when people say intelligent. I'm not talking bacteria on another planet. I'm talking intelligent fucking beings do not exist. You're so fucking stupid if you don't think they exist. Here's why. We orbit around a star. We're a certain distance from the star. Okay? That allows us to have water. That gives us life in our form. The other thing, so like bigger planets on the outside catch meteors. That's another thing that allows us to exist. So it's a few set conditions that allow us to exist, okay? In our galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy, there are 300 billion stars. So we have 300 billion chances of an intelligent race existing. Now, here's what's going to fuck your mind up if you really listen to this part. There are approximately 1 to 300 billion galaxies in the universe. So we're talking, what are your chances of intelligent life? Well, it is 300 billion times 300 billion times 14.6 billion years to cook. So not only is there intelligent life out there, there is intelligent life out there that I can guarantee you has 1 billion years head start on us. 1 billion fucking years. And there's the whole gamut all the way through. So to sit there and say that intelligent life does not exist, you're fucking retarded. Now the question is, are they visiting Earth? I highly believe they are.
What's the quote that Stephen Hawking says? It's either
you have to say it with a robot voice.
Either there is intelligent life in the universe, or there is not, and either idea is incredibly frightening, or something like that.
It is. But just like what Ryan just said, I couldn't agree more. Right? It's for me, it's a statistical improbability that we're the only intelligent life on this universe. But we don't even have to get that far away from Earth to look at anomalies that science really can't explain. If you look at our moon and truly look at the moon, right? The moon is for a long time people thought it was a piece of Earth that had broken off. Well, now we know via science that it's not. The rock and everything is different from the Earth. That they're native from each other, a bit different. Mm-hmm. The moon also goes in a very perfect orbit around the Earth, to where the same side of the moon is always facing the Earth. It doesn't rotate like other moons. Like our moon is so unique compared to all the other moons. Like it
sounds constructed.
When Apollo 12 landed on the moon, they blasted their moon rover or whatever they had, and it hit the surface of the moon. And Apollo 12 had seismic utensils on board, and the moon literally had a earthquake, or I guess it would be a moonquake, for 6 hours. Showing that it was probably hollow. That's the explanation, is that people think it could be hollow. It rang like a bell, basically.
That's definitely conspiracy.
Yeah, well, no natural forming satellite can be hollow. If you look at physics and our understanding of physics now, there's no possible way, by what we've been taught, that it can be hollow. But now we have scientific evidence that shows possibly it could be.
We got to drill that bitch.
Send Bruce Willis.
Get Bruce Willis up there now.
And here's another issue I have with people, like Ryan was saying, the people that are so close-minded about this, right? I don't believe, this is what I think. I don't think that if you believe in a higher power or intelligent design, right, which could be God, or it could be, if you believe in aliens or whatever, if you believe in that, right, you have to believe in extraterrestrials, because by definition, God, no matter how you worship him, is not from the earth. So he's an extraterrestrial, right? So once you get past that, right, you're talking about the theory of a supreme divine being creating something out of nothing, or creating something just out of the random, or the other thought process is a random chain of events that did not involve intelligent design, just made the earth and the heavens and made us, what we are today. I mean, if you look at both of those theories, is an extraterrestrial or an alien species coming here and genetically altering the native species, it seem that much more unplausible than those two theories?
Well, here's why I hate religious people, and here's why I hate non-religious people. Because especially non-religious people who subscribe to an alien creation theory, because you're really just getting into semantics at that point. Because if God let's just say God is from an alternate dimension, aka heaven, or aliens are from another dimension, come and create us. Basically, my what I'm trying to say is
remix.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting tired. Basically, you're just arguing semantics because an alien or God can just be construed as something from another dimension that comes here, creates us either through technology or magic, and there's really no difference at that point between God and aliens. Like, aliens are God at that point.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what turns a lot of people off is when you say aliens, they automatically assume the Hollywood version of the little green men.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah, I think but I think we've been ingrained for that. This is when the conspiracy thing pops back up, right? Have you noticed how many alien movies that are coming out now? A bunch, right? There've been sci-fi alien movies. There's been a lot of them. I feel like we're being slowly integrated into like some kind of disclosure, right, by the government. The Catholic Church. Do what?
I think the government's covering it up.
Well, the Catholic Church 5 or 6 years ago came out and said that if intelligent life was found on other planets, it wouldn't necessarily discount Christianity. So for the Vatican to make that kind of a acknowledgement means that, because Vatican they're the most powerful people in the world. I don't care what you say. I mean, the Vatican. Yeah, I mean, they are the most powerful people in the world. If the Vatican's commenting on that, why would they say something like that unless you felt like, maybe they're preparing us for something. Maybe they're preparing a world full of people that can't possibly fathom that, the Bible isn't word for word, the gospel.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to think about. I'm pretty neutral on the matter. I know something made us, something a lot better than we are. I just hope I live long enough to learn what that was.
It doesn't matter what you believe. If you engage me in conversation and then spout your belief, I will instantly argue with you about it. That's just so you know.
Clark, what is your favorite conspiracy theory, Clark? Because you are a conspiracy theory nut.
My favorite conspiracy theory. See, it's hard to distinguish between. Sometimes I get conspiracy theory and then just like philosophical ideas kind of like intertwined. The one I believe the most is that the government is systematically planning like the destruction of our liberties and possibly our lives. There's just so much evidence out there. At first we all said, well, they're listening to all of us. Oh, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking stupid. Well, it turns out they're all listening to us.
1984.
Yeah. Then we said, dude, there's something fucking wrong with the food. And they were like, you're fucking crazy. Just eat your goddamn cheeseburger. Well, now we know that fucking GMOs, cause fucking cancer rampant in animals and humans. We know this. This is not a debatable thing.
I don't think that's been proven.
It has been fucking proven.
I really don't think
Clark
that has
just
been.
proved it.
I've heard literal medical doctors talk about that.
No, I'm not saying that GMOs are not a good thing in the sense of if I have to choose between cancer in 40 years and starving in the middle of Africa, serve me up a slice of GMO, please.
These statements have not been authenticated by the FDA.
That's right. We know that we said, and I say we as in like I did research, but there's millions of people that said, medical science, while awesome, has a lot of flaws, a lot of problems, and it hurts a lot of people at the same time. I mean, one of the largest killers of humans in general is prescription medicine, just fucking you up and killing you. And I'm not saying that's
because
intentional.
Pills are addictive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that people get labeled as conspiracy theorists, but it all eventually ties back to money and the government and national and international banking. And I really do believe that they're working towards depopulating the earth and setting up a class system. I know it's not super exciting to talk about,
but no, I mean, Clark, you make a really interesting comment because this almost kind of bookends to what Ryan and I were talking about, because kind of the extension of this conspiracy theory I was talking about, the one that I wasn't going to get into, but you opened the door into it. So, is that these people whoever it was have remained here on Earth, or either through breeding, kind of like the New World Order, Illuminati kind of a thing, where there's basically people running these governments that inside people.
You think they have contact with aliens?
Well, they may partly be, like if we share DNA with the, like say for instance we subscribe to this Anunnaki theory. If we share DNA with them, what's to say that our current DNA isn't just them? Like how they don't have to be different from us. Like if we, now we may still have like we have the part of our brain that's reptilian. We still share DNA with obviously the rest of the primates. But what's to say we're all that different? What's to say that? So I started thinking about it, right? And if they really wanted to still run this country or still wanted to keep us a slave race, because that was the kind of the thought process, we were a slave race, what's the way to do it? Well, the first way to do it was with culture. Religion was the first one. And to this day, we still have people killing each other based solely on the fact that one believes in one God and one believes in the other God, and they're going to kill each other, right? We've been doing it since since I can remember, since recorded history. So that just wasn't good enough, though. So what's another way to do it? Well, like you said, class and finance, right? Financial system, and the financial system started in the Middle East. And I don't mean to sound anti-Semitic here at all. I mean, this isn't where I'm going with it.
Jews,
but yes, it did. But that's where the first currency and trading started in that region of the earth. And to this day, like when we talk about it on the show all the time, we fantasize about going to the beach and living on the beach, but we can't afford it, right? Yeah. We'd all love to move to Belize right now, right? But we want to make sure that we work our whole lives to have this money. So I go to work every day, and I feel like it's on my terms. I could call in sick today if I wanted to. But the fact of the matter is like if I call in sick enough, I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to be afford to live the way I want to live. So in a sense, I'm a slave to that.
Yeah. The easiest way to make somebody feel as though they're not a slave is to give them toys to play with.
I do like my toys.
And like Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla came up with this great alternate current. What is it? Direct current energy?
Pretty much the free-flowing energy.
Yes, different from the alternate current. And he was literally persecuted by the FBI. Yeah, because they raided his laboratories and his plants, and they defied his name. I mean,
it would have been so cheap to produce that electricity, it would have put all of the utility companies out of business.
If you want to put a windmill on the side of your house right now, first of all, you have to get a permit, and pay all this money, pay all these taxes. But if you let the grid have some of that energy, you can sell it back to them, so it's a lot easier to do. The issue is they get it for pennies on the dollar, what they normally would get, right? So just follow the money here. There's a term called planned obsolescence. Back in the 50s and the 60s, you bought a washer and dryer, it would last you 30 years, right? My grandmother and grandfather had a Whirlpool washer and dryer that they literally had since I was a little kid. And when we moved my grandmother from Michigan to Texas, they still operated. But if you buy one now, what do you get, 5-6 years out of them now?
Maybe.
It's called planned obsolescence. It's like a light bulb. Light bulbs, how long do they last? Back in the old days, they had light bulbs that would last for 10 years. So it's a way to keep the money coming. It is probably enough about economics as well. But the way you want to control people, just follow the money. Right now we're controlled by a financial system, the international banking system. I mean, it is what it is. You have the Bilderbergs, and you have all these people. And the really, really freaky thing is, and I'll get off the soapbox, is if you track all the major corporations in the world and track them down their lineage, I think 90% of the world's wealth is controlled by like 143 people.
Yeah.
Well, I think that would make sense at this point. So, a couple things there. First of all, the GMO thing, I mean, I'll check it again, but I don't recall. I think that was just false stuff. It's my understanding that there's no known cases of that really causing problems. I would say even if there are, it's just a byproduct of science. I mean, look, we had to go through the Industrial Revolution. We killed a lot of people. A lot of little kids got their hands smelted together, but we had to do it to get to where we are now. As far as the New World Order, I don't think they're hiding. There's no secret New World Order. It's giant fucking corporations that run things anyways. It's not secret government stuff. I think a lot of the things, and this is just kind of number one, devil's advocate, number two, kind of a middle ground I've kind of gone to. It's not that there's some secret agenda, okay, for all this happening. You need to, this could just as easily be attributed to human beings' nature. So, for instance, the planned obsolescence, okay? Sure, it could be some New World Order, but it could also just be some marketing guy saying, well, I need my company I need them to be able to purchase a new one in 6-10 years. So we're going to build it like that now. You need, like, our human nature kind of makes us shitty by default anyways.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, the very essence of being shitty is to try to be the best and at the top. Like as
money.
grown. Yeah.
So what's
Money.
the best for you? The best for you would be if you could make $1 million a year for your family. What would you do if you could get that? Would you start a company that would sell washers and dryers that expired in 5 years? Sure, I would too. I wouldn't even
I'm
feel
not
bad
concerned
about it.
about the washer and dryers. I worry about the destruction of countries and education and all of that kind of
But
stuff.
the reason that these guys are, because like Ryan said, these guys are astutely making these financial decisions, Of course it's better for business if your dryer breaks every 5 years.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think this is driven by some shadow government necessarily. I think this is really driven by human nature.
But it comes down to money. I mean, the whole motive for this is to get more capital, get more money, right?
Sure, but I still don't think it's going to shadow governments or anything because we have taxes anyways. They're going to get their money that way. You know how there are billions of years accounted for every year lost. But where this is all going to is fucking heads of corporations, which are the fucking devil. Those are the New World Order, and they're not hiding. They're right there. They're right there, and we can see what they're doing, and we can see how they're doing it. It's not a secret.
Part of what you never had is gone and can't be taken back. Maybe you and I